I'm John Miglosh for the WDMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. We're continuing in the series on data and context. It's important because it can be worth millions of dollars, and has been. So I want you to think about how you see what you see, how you portray what you portray, and how we get down to what's really going on in the world when we're kind of just taking funny samples and confirmation bias. So, if you remember from last time, we started out by sharing all of the different, well, not all, but a couple of different ways in which the context of data, the data itself was confusing, and we stepped back and said, what's going on here? Tried to answer that question. First step, always. Data gives you observation, but context can make you money. Then we talked about how we set up gauges in the old days so that they were all framing the information so that it was in the context of the other gauges and you could always see with a glance whether things were humming along nicely. In today's dashboards, we rarely do that. We rarely adjust the scale to make sure that everything is clearly portrayed. We're going to get into that a little more. If you remember the pool ball illustration, we observe causality, but we really only have conjunction. Things stop, things go, and we infer that one thing causes another, which it probably does. But it's not what you see. Remember the golfers? You have to have them on the same day, same conditions, same course. It's never perfect, but at least it levels the playing field. That's what we're really trying to do when we think about data, but we rarely go as far as we should. One data scientist said, "We're now collecting everything important." I wrote back and said, "How do you know?" And I tried to explain that there's an infinite number of contextual variables about anything, about any pen, about any event, about the number 37. I used to ask my Bible students, I say, if you knew everything about this pen, how far would you be from omniscient? And nobody's pretty much ever gotten the right answer. Because if you knew everything about this pen, could you know everything about this pen without knowing who designed it, without knowing the company name that's on the side of it, without knowing how ink is made, how plastic is made? Right? No. What about the distance between this pen and the center of the sun, or the percentage of atoms in this pen compared to the number of atoms in this room, or the number of atoms in the universe, or the distance to the center of the universe, or the edge of the universe? How fast is this pen really going? We won't get into that. That's almost an impossible question to answer with the expansion. You know, we're moving along at the speed of light. We didn't even realize it. So anyway, makes time travel very difficult. The point is, it's complicated. So in order to frame it, we need to be thinking about it. It's a big question. So what is context? We never even asked that question. We should probably. The interrelated conditions in which something exists or occurs. The environment, the setting. Why we want the same level playing field. You know, if we run one ad on the Super Bowl and another ad in our local paper, don't be surprised that one has better reach and the other might be more effective. It's hard to say. Depends on what you're saying, right? Here's a slice of a profile I received from a very, very prominent data company. And they showed us that most of our customers were suburban, but a lot of them were urban, almost none of them were rural. Now, this is population density. We didn't know what the definition was. They didn't give us any clue. So, first thing I asked was, what's the general population profile? Which they didn't give me. On another page, where it showed the kinds of investments, at least there, they gave me some benchmarks. They said, okay, real estate. Okay? Only about 1% of people hold investment real estate. But almost 2% of your customers hold investment real estate, which gives you an index compared to the general population of 168. The green dots mean something good. Okay? Of course, immediately, I think this was a cell phone company, I don't remember, but immediately I said, and you see it's not a big number anyway, so even if you went and rented all the people who own real estate, it wouldn't move the needle in your marketing, unless you're selling a real estate related product. In which case, this is a terrible answer. Let's say you're selling cell phones, and you're selling them in upstate Wisconsin, where only 60% of the people have credit cards. In which case, you wouldn't want a national index, and we had to go back and get that. We had to go back and get an index to the upstate part of Wisconsin. See how context moves around? It's really difficult. Now, what I'd really like to know is, how does our profile compare with upstate Wisconsin and people who already own cell phones? Then we would have some idea of our customers versus theirs. Of course, I didn't get that. So, one way to portray data is geo-demographic maps. Here we've got a portrayal of high school graduation rates. And we've got our customers nested in there. And what we see is that the bigger little people that are customers tend to be in areas with pretty good graduation rates. In fact, they get small again when even in the city of Milwaukee, we don't have very many customers per zip code inside where there's low graduation rates. It's a way to put the data into geographic context, which I kind of like. Okay? This is a product that we produce when we do a profile looking at graduation rates. And what we have done is we've defined low, middle, and high of the variable by a third of the households. Okay? So we just cut them in thirds. What the percentage of graduation rate is, I don't care. What I know is that a third of the households have a low, a third have a middle, and a third have a high. Now, the advantage of this is that we can instantly see the skew of our customers. You see that? So we can know that our customers, 70%, come from a high graduation rate. If there is no impact to the variable, if our customers are equally distributed, then it'd be even across the top. So I would tell my 6-year-old daughter, if the blue bar is smaller than the yellow bar, it's good. Where is it good? And when she could tell me, then I knew that the average CEO or CMO could understand our data. You see how we can put context into it? Do we have to put context into it? Absolutely not. Just show that. Doesn't tell you a thing. You have no idea what that's about, because you don't know the general population, you don't know the region that I'm selling in, and you don't even know, and you especially don't know your competitor's profile. No context whatsoever. So in customer penetration and customer segmentation, you have to keep in mind not only those things, but things like, what's the difference between a new customer and a returning customer? What's a one-time buyer look like versus a multi-buyer? What about different product groups? We did a lot of work with Musician's Friend identifying the difference between a guitar player and a drummer. We could clearly see there was a difference. We actually went to the trouble of creating a drum version catalog, drummer version, and a guitar version catalog. Mostly it was the outer wrap and the signatures. What was funny was we could not get the drummers to buy drums from the drum catalog. We even got ads from the drum companies to pay for our shenanigans. In the end, the drummers would buy guitars from the drum catalog, and the guitar players would buy drums from the guitar catalog. This personalization is not always worth the trouble. Okay? And this is where we get down to performance strata. There may be differences across time. There may be seasonality. That was the Cabela's story. So many things we can look at. It's why we keep our jobs as marketers. That's about it for now. We're going to go on and get to some really, really interesting stuff in our next episode. I'm John Miglosh. I want you to subscribe. I want you to tell your friends. Tell them about this head that bounces up and down. It has no body, but keeps talking no matter what. Have a great day.